Alright, Shalom, Shalom, double honors to the elders, sing honors to the apostles. All praise, Lord, to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, and Kakadash. Double honors to the elders. Let's go into this here. Articles, terms, hardware, but I mentioned this already in my last video. It's a 23-minute video going into the third world. An update on that about Japan and Taiwan, but just two further add-ons to that. Just real briefly. Taiwan to up defense. It says titled Taiwan to up defense spending and develop Iron Dome inspired missile protection. Experts warn one well-placed Chinese missile could make it impossible to get a new iPhone for 3 years. God. And this is all going into the nations preparing for war. Once again, so these nations are definitely preparing for war. WW3 and 9. Proclaiming this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say, I am strong. God. Assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. God, that's what the Lord is doing. And then also to couple that with this article was titled, it came out today, and it reads, the title is Russia will try NATO regardless of Ukraine peace deal, experts warn. So Lord willing, that also escalates here, and Russia ends up going ahead and bringing that war to NATO, which I believe I have faith that this Russia-Ukraine war will definitely escalate to NATO. I think they also predicted that Russia may fully start a ground war with NATO by 2027 or 2028. Probably by 2028, just off how patiently we gotta wait for these things. And it just could be possible, just in the name of patience. I mean, it's possible. So now we're gonna move on to this famine that's gonna. Oh, actually, yeah, this famine that's gonna happen. I'll just get this. A famine that's going to happen here in America. And it's the food insecurity that's already been developing here in the soils of America. This is 2 Kings 6:25, and there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, and the fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. Let's get the article here. This one is entitled from The Guardian, and it reads here, Americans are feeling the pain of the affordability crisis. There's not any wiggle room. Cost of groceries, housing, childcare, education, and healthcare have become intolerable to many. This was published Sunday, November 23rd. It says frozen dinners were useful when no one was home to cook. A fancy cheese or apple roll felt like a family treat. But not anymore. We can't afford to do those little luxuries anymore because they're just too expensive to feed five with. Says Cat Hill, there's not any wiggle room. The 43-year-old from Hornby, New York, has been hit by both higher grocery prices and rising costs for her small business running a horse stable under Donald Trump. She worries it may get even harder. With this administration, it doesn't appear to be establishing, she adds. It's hard to think about how exactly we are going to ride this out. The cost of groceries, housing, childcare, education, and healthcare have become intolerable to many. Alright, so that's the point there of that one right there. Basically, things is getting harder. Price of goods is rising. And this is why it says, and we always keep saying this, and it's only the elect is going to get it anyway, but we're saying it anyway. We're speaking this anyway to you people, whether you're here or there. When we go out there, niggas are there. Of course, they ain't gonna listen. Where we go out there, mainly in particularly a more hood type area, niggas ain't gonna listen. You proud Edomites ain't gonna listen because this ain't for you. And that's good anyway, but this is Isaiah 31, verse 1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help. So this is what's going to happen to them. Who rely on horses and trust in the multitude of their chariots and in the great strength of their horsemen, but do not look to the Holy One of Israel or seek help from the Lord God. And only y'all the elect is looking for help, man. Lord willing, I'm one of the elect. I should say the hopefully elect. But wherever the elect may be, more than likely it's us and GMS and other like-minded and individual camps. Just off the doctrine alone, our doctrine is pretty on point. And ultimately, just off our faith, we have the faith. This is that's why we don't need so we catch all the hell we catch, still believe and trust and keep the same doctrine, man. To those other camps and the Israelites that aren't preparing for Jacob's trouble, or even speaking on Jacob's trouble, meditating on Jacob's trouble. And that's what it's going into, Jacob's trouble. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help. So even these other Israelites and camps that's not even speaking on Jacob's trouble, you're really relying on Egypt. You're still relying on Egypt for help. Okay, because you could believe you're an Israelite and still be going off, still be getting destroyed. Because if that's the case, you're not ultimately believing. You're not ultimately really believing that. Because it says here, Isaiah 31 verse 2, yet he too is wise and can bring disaster, and that's what the Lord is going to bring disaster. It says in 2 Ezra 6, 20, 21, I think. 22, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And I mentioned this last week, this past Saturday at the camp. Your Walmarts it's gonna be so bad to the point your Walmarts are gonna be empty. There's gonna be no point in taking a drive to the nearest local Walmart, because you already know there's gonna be nothing in there. There's gonna be nothing in there, but it's already gonna be looted. And everything in there taken, ransacked by individuals. Those individuals being many Americans is gonna be out of a job, out of work. You already have right now people losing many jobs, and that's good. That's actually good news, man. So I'm not even tripping. I'm not even bugging out, bro, because this is all good. That's good shit, good news. It's good that there ain't no jobs out here or things like that. Even if I'm affected by that, currently at this moment, I don't even give a shit, because that's gonna lead closer to the MOTV coming, and that's just a sign of things that things are developing unto the prophecy of a major prophecy that is that being the mark of the beast. Revelation 13:15-18. This economy collapsing, we believe, and me myself personally especially believe that, and convinced that these elites are gonna ride the wave of the mark of the beast, fully coming out through an economic collapse. Let me know what you brothers think. Do you think the market is gonna come out through a economic collapse, or you think Esau would just come out and say, "Oh, this is because Esau could just come out with the mark of the beast," but knowing prophecy and knowing how the Lord works too, he's gonna want to test us and see shit. So it just makes sense for us. We believe that it's gonna happen through an economic collapse. Okay, because Esau just coming out with it, it's just too easy. And knowing these elites too, they themselves like to see people losing their shit. But yeah, Second Energy 6, this full stolen plays shop here on Sona. Every store is gonna be empty eventually. As things get worse and the situations get more bad. Ecclesiastes 12 in the NIV. That's why it says in verse 1, "Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come, and the years approach when you will say, I have no pleasure in them. Before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars grow dark, and the clouds return after the rain." Yeah, and that sun there, the light there, the moon, the stars growing dark there. The sun, the light, the moon, the stars is a metaphor. Growing dark is a metaphor for the mirth and the joy of this place. The assurance still, and the security still, the society still running of this place going down. All right, that's what it says. Grow dark, and the clouds return after the rain. The clouds return after the rain, meaning it's going to rain again. It's going to be a tribulation after another tribulation after another tribulation. And that's what that means there. The clouds are turning again. The clouds are turning again, meaning more rain. More rain being showers. Showering outside. Verse 3, "When the keepers of the house shall tremble, the keepers of the house are going to tremble." Especially for the single woman. Women are going to be getting judged. We always mention that. We always speak on that. Song with the elders of the great millstone, the apostles. "When the keepers of the house shall tremble and the strong man stoop," the strong man is going to be going down. His strength is going to be out of him. He's not going to have any motivation to keep moving. They ain't given the faith. They don't have the faith. "When the grinder cease because they are few," there's going to be no jobs out here, and the jobs market is already bad. but it's going to grow even worse. It's going to get even worse. And those looking through the windows grow them. Yep, a lot of people are going to be them. They're going to be out of out of their wits, out of their light, they're going to be out of jobs, out of money, out of their homes, out of hope. And so they're going to rebel against the society with a mass group of people. And it just makes sense because, well, it's going to fit perfectly with 2 Esdras 15. 2 Esdras 15 verse 2 Esdras 15 and verse 50. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. And therefore there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. And we just saw I just saw a video today of the brother speaking on this Edomite going up to the council meetings of his local state here in Michigan, where he had the best on, and he was basically looked like the new Charlie Kirk. He's paid off, of course. He's an agent provocateur, but just speaking out against how things is. So people are already divided. Basically, what the brother was. His main theme was a video. People are already divided. So this is going to lead closer to 2 Esdras 15 being implemented, because so the scriptures here are already prophesying about so actually a correction to myself, because I mentioned earlier that we think an economic collapse is going to happen. Actually, we don't even have to think that. Spirit just corrected me there on that. We don't even have to think that. It's actually 2 Esdras 6 and 22 there, the verse I brought earlier, or that the Spirit brought earlier. The Spirit. I mean, saying to me it's the Spirit, but Spirit brought earlier in 2 Esdras 6 and 22 how the four storehouses are still going to be found empty. So the scriptures are already prophesying that an economic collapse is going to happen. It's not even anything of speculating or thinking it. No, it's prophesying that the economic collapse is going to happen. When you go into Revelation 6, it mentions a black horse, which further evidence that it's going to be an economic collapse. Because when the economic collapse happens, obviously famine is part of that comes with that territory of a economic collapse. Famine and economic collapse go hand in hand. So yeah, with that, the scriptures, the Bible is the Lord Yahweh Shah is prophesying that an economic collapse is going to happen right here in the scriptures. So I'll have to stop saying that. Yeah, it's lucky about the correction on myself on that there. 2 Esdras 16 and also it's a prophecy here, 2 Esdras 16, which is the one I'm on right now, and verse 15, 2 Esdras actually it's like 15 and 16. It's also prophesying here, where it says for the sword that are destruction draweth nigh, one people shall fight against another, swords in their hands. And then 16, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings or princes. In the course of their actions shall stand their power. So right here, the Bible here, the scriptures, Yahweh Shai here, he's prophesying, because Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. He's prophesying that insurrection, state of chaos where there's anarchy, and the Americans are going to decide to, here in America, obviously, because America is in Babylon, they're going to decide to go down to their local Capitol building or government's buildings where all your important officials are, your state, and burn that shit down, loot it, take shit from stores, take shit from their own citizen next to them, living their neighbor, hopping in through their windows with their guns in their hands and taking their shit. So the scriptures is prophesying that as well here. 84, because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. 10:19, the man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation come. Hey, so now I gotta go back to this article here from the BBC, and it reads, the title is, "We worry more about food," says Venezuelans living under threat of U.S. military action. And honestly, to me personally, I don't think anything with Venezuela there is going to happen. It could happen, but I think that's more so to get Americans used to China and Russia near their doorstep. Because I heard the last article the brother got, I'll pull it up real quick here. The brother got here a Chinese naval about this article. Yes, he got this. The brother brought this article. Was he part of it? Read a Chinese naval hospital ship arrived at port of Corinto in Nicaragua for a 5-day technical stop on November 10th. This marks the first time a Chinese naval vessel has docked in Nicaragua. Nicaragua news media reported the country has authorized the Chinese hospital ship to operate in Nicaragua waters from November 1 to 30. Yes, so yeah, so that's China near the. So basically, really, China has nothing to do with. Actually, correction on myself. China has nothing to do with the Venezuela tensions. This had nothing to do with that, or at least not directly being told that it has nothing to do with that, but basically a Chinese military ship there, naval ship there, was near U.S. here in Nicaragua. If I'm not mistaken, Nicaragua is near America. I have to check that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a country near Honduras. That's very close there. Yes, so. But who knows? Maybe the U.S. would invade Venezuela. I mean, I don't think that's gonna really help America too much. Really, I think that could just be a distraction. But the point I wanted from here was basically it says ordinary Venezuelans spend their time trying to figure out what to eat each day. And when it's Wednesday morning at Quinta Crespo, a popular market in downtown Caracas, here a possible Escalation of the conflict is not the main concern of Venezuelans who glance at the news while checking their wallets to find enough cash to pay. There's not going to be an intervention, nothing like that. What's really troubling us is the rise of the dollar. Alejandro Orellano tells BBC Mundo as he savors a coffee, waiting for customers who never seem to arrive. In the past weeks, Trump's government has deployed thousands of troops and military assets to within striking distance of Venezuela, including the world's largest warship. On Saturday, at least 4 international airlines canceled flights into or out of the country after a Friday notice from U.S. aviation authorities warned of heightened military activity in or around Venezuela. This comes after a series of U.S. airstrikes against alleged drug boats in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific killed more than 80 people, which they ain't really dared to do that. I think all that is just a ploy. They really ain't there. They ain't really hit any fucking ship there, man. Drug boats there. They ain't hit none of that shit. Those drug boats are there to stay. Trump can't go and intervene in that. That's a whole nother CIA operation that has to keep running. The elites, wicked elites, want that continual drugs pumping up in here running. It's part of a broader effort. The administration says it's necessary to stem the flow of narcotics into the U.S. But Maduro insists the Sabri rattling is designed to push him out of office. It says he's been selling vegetables in this market for 5 years. Look how empty this is, he insists, pointing to a long, lonely aisle full of fresh fruits and vegetables. He says, at Christmas Carol, a Christmas Carol plays with the festive atmosphere's fears overshadow. Yeah, and that's the spirit, right? The mirth coming out of this place, leaving this place, even over there in other countries. This says the common enemy of the people is here. The sharp rise in food prices and the lack of purchasing power in parts. This is due to rapid depreciation of the bolivar, which will have lost 80% of its value this year. A kilo of chicken, for example, costs about 4 times the official monthly minimum wage. And although the government offers bonuses to retirees and public workers, the money is still not enough to cover the basic food basket cost. So that's the point. And soon, I wanted to get that to prove the point. Soon this is going to come here to America. This right here, that same situation is going to be coming here to America. First Samuel 2 and verse 5. The people who once were full of food now hire themselves out to get food, but the hungry are hungry no more. The childless wife has borne 7 children, but the mother of many is left with none. Verse 6. The Lord kills and restores to life. He sends people to the world of the dead and brings them back again. He makes some people poor and others rich. He humbles some and makes others great. He lifts the poor from the dust and raises the needy from their misery. He makes them companions of princes and puts them in places of honor. The foundations of the earth belong to the Lord. On them he has built the world. So basically that's the power of the Lord, and that's what it says right there. This is what the Lord is going to bring, though. In verse 5 specifically, it says the people who once were well fed now hire themselves out to get food. Yeah, and that's what's gonna come. That's what's gonna come. Haggai 2 and verse 17. Since start 16. Since those days were when one came to in a heap of 20 measures, there were but 10. When one came to the press fat for to draw out 50 vessels out of the press, there were but 20. So this is going to an inflation crash, and that's what's going to happen. 17. I smote you with blasting and with mildew and with hail and all thy labors of your hands, yet ye turn not to me, says the Lord. And that's what's going to come. Amos 4 and 6. I was the one who brought famine to all your cities, yet you did not come to me. I kept it from raining when your crops needed it most. I sent rain on one city, but not on another. Rain fell on one field, but another field dried up. Weak with thirst, the people of several cities went to a city where they hoped to find water, but there was not enough to drink. Still, you did not come back to me. 9. I sent a scorching wind to dry up your crops. The locusts ate up all your gardens and vineyards, your fig trees and olive trees. Still, you did not come back to me. John, Ezekiel 5 and start at 5. The sovereign Lord said, look at Jerusalem. I put her at the center of the world with other countries all around her. So this is also going into our people here. Starting with our people, 1 Peter 4 and 17 says, it shall begin in the house of the Lord. 6. But Jerusalem rebelled against my commands and showed that she was more wicked than the other nations. That's the Israelites you see today who ain't listening to this word, ain't taking heed to it. They're more than rather listening to some other bullshit. They're the game, the football game, the podcast or whatever the fuck it is that Jake listens to, man. The fucking novellas, the fucking drama shows, sitcoms, shit like that. More disobedient than the countries around her, Jerusalem reached my commands and refused to keep my laws. 17, jumping down to verse 17 in Ezekiel 5 and jumping down to 17. I was therefore the Lord says, because Jacob's doing that, and it says in verse 15, when I am angry and furious with you and punish you, all the nations around you will be terrified. They will look at you with disgust and make fun of you. So this is what's going to happen to Jake. 16, I will cut off your supply of food and let you starve. You will feel the pains of hunger like sharp arrows sent to destroy you. I will send hunger and wild animals to kill your children, and will send sickness, violence, and war to kill you. I, the Lord, have spoken to the continent. So that's what's going to happen. This is going to happen to wicked ass Jakes, 2/3 wicked ass niggas. And then you all, on top of that, you all have the SNAP benefits now. They're asking for certain requirements. That's going to shut off you, more of you entitled Israelites, gluttonous Israelites out here. Look at that. This article here, NATO ally intercepts Russian warship. More of that NATO-Russia conflict is escalating there. And so, Con. Got this order, so that's going into the Venezuelans there. They're already feeling that. They haven't even felt the full brunt of it. But especially you Americans here, you entitled American Israelites here, you haven't felt the full brunt of it, and it's going to come to you as well. Now, this last article I'm going to get here, it's entitled Food Insecurity Around the U.S. Has Risen This Year, Survey Finds, from CBS News, November 13th. Today is the 24th. The share of Americans reporting trouble affording food is rising this year amid persistent high grocery costs, according to a recent report from Purdue University. Roughly 40% of U.S. households reported food insecurity on average,